The Moulin Rouge is really quite interesting. It was only open for 6 months, but it's got this great mystere that it was open longer.
The Las Vegas Strip. It's the hallmark of our valley, drawing in millions of people from all across the globe each year, but it didn't always look like this. And I don't mean the buildings. Before 1960, strip casinos and hotels were considered off-limits to blacks. There were few exceptions. Some properties hired black people, but that was for back-of-the-house type jobs.
I used to walk with you.
Black entertainers were often invited to perform, but that was it. Here's how Sammy Davis Jr. once put it. In Vegas for 20 minutes, our skin had no color. Then the second we stepped off the stage, we were colored again. The other acts could gamble or sit in the lounge and have a drink, but we had to leave through the kitchen with the garbage. For many, Las Vegas came to be known as the Mississippi of the West because of its harsh segregation practices. But eventually, something had to give, and it did.
Three hotels opened in 1955, including the Moulin Rouge. So it's interesting to see what this town was like during that time. It was a time of great percolation here. You know, you still had Jim Crow Las Vegas, but yet you had a time of Las Vegas when people were coming here from a post-World War II generation. And God, I mean, just living during that time, 1955, when the Moulin Rouge was opened, must have been something else. That must have been quite exciting.
The world's a better place by far.
The Moulin Rouge was the first racially integrated casino in the United States, located in Las Vegas's historic West Side.
Sammy Davis Jr., Harry Belafonte, Lena Horne, they would all come to the Moulin Rouge. And not only come there, but they would bring their white entertainer friends there, like Sammy Davis and Frank Sinatra.
People called it the 6-month sensation, as it was only open for a short time, but it had an empowering effect on the civil rights movement years after bankruptcy forced its doors closed.
1960 was just an interesting year. And then you had these great guys, these idealists like Bob Bailey and Charles Keller, who got together and, you know, with other great men of their times. And that's where the Moulin Rouge agreement started, at the Moulin Rouge in 1960. The Moulin Rouge, not only was it the first interracial hotel and casino, but it was a place that people got together and formed an alliance to get on the Las Vegas Strip.
After shutting down in November 1955, the Moulin Rouge was boarded up for decades and severely damaged in 2003 when a fiery blaze ripped through the cultural landmark, leaving the iconic sign untouched. It went to the Neon Museum out of harm's way. You can visit it there now. But the property itself was the victim of several more fires before city leaders decided to tear down what was left in 2010.
We should learn about the Moulin Rouge and we should know about the historical West Side and move on and tell our kids. It's interesting now when I go on the Strip and I see kids of all different nationalities and cultures playing together and being together, but not knowing the sacrifice that people like my mom and dad had to make, you know, for them to have this freedom today.
Over the years, community leaders have pushed to restore the site. Some efforts more promising than others, but the lot remains undeveloped. Some look at it and see a future, while others embrace it as the past.
The Moulin Rouge really played an important part in history here. You know, it just must have been really magical. To me, it was like Harlem in the middle of the desert.